on the top of his feet as well as his equipment, Rich.
Yeah, so this is a technique that many surfers actually adopt. Rubbing the back or the underneath of their foot on the top of the other one and sort of whacks the bottom of it. He does his board, he is just sticking to that thing like a gecko.
Yeah, I remember Shane Beshan doing that back in the day when he was on the championship tour.
Lowers especially is a place where you need to do it. Those rocks are really, really slimy. And no, that's just a little secret technique that possibly we haven't seen from many boys. Fashioned many years ago. This one's, as we wait for Gabrielle to take another wave here.
Now we'll dive into a deep stack. However, Hydro Flask, Medina has a 2-zip head-to-head record against Connor Coffin. And we mentioned it before, monster numbers for Medina when these two have met in the past, always putting out a solid spread on Connor Coffin. When you look at their heat score totals, here goes Medina, chasing that 6.6, driving up into this first section, goes to the layback jam, lines up this pocket and bashes his way through, getting a bit of a down-the-line flow to tee up these last couple of hits, winding through this section and loading up for more, whips the board into reverse. And I don't know if you could say right out of that one, Rich.
I don't think it mattered because he got so much good work done in the first 3 quarters of that wave. And really, I mean, that final little air reverse, it was fantastic to watch, and the wave just died out on him. That's the only reason why he didn't ride out of it, otherwise he would have. But, mate, for this guy to identify, not to oversurf this wave too much and just make sure he gets the lead back, this is how good he is. Didn't go for the big air at the start because he knew there were so many points on this wave down the line. Hammers his first turn. Great layback snap. The second one projects down and just absolutely annihilates the third. Sort of going to a bit more of that trademark layback snap. Look at the vision here from the angle of the water. It's just so great to watch all these little kind of moments as Gabrielle, he's just firing all cylinders here. Got a good look at just how fast he whips that board around. Drives quick off the bottom. There's that back arm, throws it back. That allows him to really stop on the tail. He sets his line again. Look how low, drags the arm on the face of the wave. Gets a bit more vertical, projecting down the line. And this third turn here, he really powers up. Driving hard off the bottom. That transition from rail to rail, so smooth. Disappears into the foam. Great ride there.
There's an element of restraint on that wave for Medina though. And that is probably, you know, in wanting to put the pressure on Connor to chase down the big score rather than try and drop one himself just now at this point in time. Conditions slowing down a little bit as far as the frequency of those set waves, and he just wanted to get the completion. He got the job done. 6.8 back into the lead. Connor Coffin now needs a 6.98. So even though he surfed that wave solid, he hasn't put it out of reach of the Californian.
No, not yet. And we saw on those deep stats that Gabrielle's average heat score 19.1, which is absolutely phenomenal. And it's just, well, he's not quite there yet. He hasn't put it completely to bed for Connor Coffin, out of reach there, but he's...
Yeah, his average heat score against Connor.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was really smart of Medina to surf that wave the way he did and not oversurf it.
Yeah, I think there's an element of respect in the way he approached that wave, though.
Well, he was looking at the clock, and he was going, if I go for something super high risk here, and by some chance that I do fall, then I'm down to the 5-minute mark, and Connor's going to have priority on me, and he's going to try and extend his lead. And then all of a sudden, Gabrielle is a solid wave behind. Now they're wave for wave, and he has the lead back. So very, very smart competitive surfing.
And he had enough of a look at this wave to see Connor take it, and he's going to try and convert it into points. And he goes first again. He goes down hard on a shallow section. He might have hit rock bottom there. And he seems okay climbing back on his equipment at the moment. But he has an all-or-nothing mentality at the moment. He's in attack mode, carrying that injury into this heat. That wave's not going to help his cause. He's after a 6.98. And it just didn't feel like the wave. He went chasing the section for pretty much the duration. Had to do something exciting at the end to turn it into a decent score. 4.5 minutes to go. Let's hear from Miguel Pupo, who's just bowed out with a quarterfinal finish.
Here in the Red Bull Athlete Zone with Miguel Pupo, who'll walk away with an equal fifth. Miggy, after talking with the boys, what's the breakdown of that heat?
Probably a priority mistake on my 4-point ride, and he wasn't going on the wave, so I just went on the wave for free. So I should have stayed out there. But you never know, I was replacing only a 5, so I was trying to do that, focusing on myself, and that's how I made all those heats. So I was trying to do the same, and yeah, a lot of positive vibes from this event. So finish off strong, I guess, with the quarterfinal, and let's go to the wave pool.
You're surfing so well on the front side. Are you looking forward to the surf ranch?
Yeah, definitely. I got a bunch of new boards from Marcio for that event, so I'm pretty excited for that. And it's an event that I've been before, that I made the final before, so a lot of positives out of that event as well. So just let's go for it.
Thanks for your time. Well done at this event. We've enjoyed watching you surf.
Yeah, monstrous result from Miguel Pupo. You know, he had his sights set on a semi and his first final here at the ripcurl rottnest search, but it wasn't to be. But he'll rebound nicely over there at the surf ranch. He'll make a big positive jump up the leaderboard. But it all kicks off on June 18th, the Jeep Surf Ranch Pro. Medina getting another wave, but not converting. Just a 2.67. So the requirement hasn't gotten any bigger for Connor Coffin, who with priorities after a 6.98 in his last couple of heats with Medina, he hasn't been in as good a position to have a shot at the lead and only need a 6.98.
Yeah, so Medina just opened the door a little bit there for Connor Coffin to potentially walk through if a good set comes. You know, he got that 7-pointer on his second ride. And he knows just with some good backhand surfing, some solid top to bottom attack mode, he's going to get that score.
2.5 minutes to go. Let's dive into the Harvey Norman recap. Connor tapping into a nice ride earlier on. A 6.83 for this one.
Yeah, some really smooth textbook surfing on the backhand here. Connor Coffin comes right through to the inside, slams on the final section. And Medina just takes to the air, showing the innovation at the start and backing it up with some really high-impact surfing here. Jams on the rail there. Floats the boat on the end section. Live action.
Medina thinking about that big full rotation that got him the victory.
He wants it, doesn't he?
At Narrabeen, but not on this occasion. He opts to get back out and put the pressure on Connor Coffin. 1 minute and 45 seconds to go. You look at the surfers that have been able to upset Medina so far this year. World champs mostly. John Florence at the Pipe Masters beat him in the final. Italo got him in Newcastle. No one was able to stop him at Narrabeen, but Seth Moniz, he overcame the 2-time world champion down at Margaret River. So Connor with an opportunity here to really stall Medina's progress when you start thinking about that final 5 as well. He is just so far ahead of the pack.
Yeah, with each second that ticks by, it's an opportunity for Connor if the set arrives. And it's as the time ticks away, it becomes more and more difficult for Gabriel to bounce back if Connor does get the score.
Well, that's the thing. It's almost like he wants that wave to come with just 10 seconds to his feet with 2 seconds to go, so Medina can't answer on the wave behind. But I'm sure at this point he just wants that opportunity. Whether it comes now or later, he just wants to have a shot at this score because it is very attainable.
Yeah, you don't often get this sort of an arrangement here at the end of the heat against Medina where you're sort of only needing a 6.98, basically a 7, down to 20 seconds to go. It's kind of seeing something out the back. It does look like there's a line coming. Will it get here in time?
Well, Medina's not going to waste the opportunity to potentially load this heat score up with something spectacular, and there you go. So reliable in those moments. Connor, not sure he got to his feet in time. But we'll stick with him anyway. Nice hit to get started. Monster attempt, another big backside reverse, but can't bring this one down. But it was a valiant effort with the injury to go out there and put up such a solid score. But Medina is going to be victorious here in the quarterfinals and through to the semis once again for the 4th time this season.
Oh, he's just so consistent, isn't he? And it's he just brings it every single heat. He wasn't going to leave that one without stomping one of those big airs that we're so used to seeing. But a great effort there from Connor Coffin. We've got to give him credit for putting in a great event.
Medina through to the semis. One quarterfinal to come. Italo Ferreira up against Yago Dora.
Apa? Iya. Kita makan pisang, kita makan pisang, kita makan pisang, kita makan pisang.
It's nice to try something like big, you know.
Explodes out of the lip. Italo finding that great balance of enjoyment, height, and competitive intensity. Yago Dora putting together a highlight reel here.
And wow, that was just magical hovercraft up there.
Those are the ones we dream about.
What a way to finish a huge day of competition here at the ripcurl rottnest Surge presented by Corona. Strickland Bay coming to the party. The world's best stepping things up. Here's what our finals bracket looks like. As you can see, the young guns, the 2 Aussies, will fight it out in semi 1. And now we're going to see who'll come up against Medina between Italo Ferreira and Yago Dora. Both these surfers showing great form on their road through to this quarterfinal clash. Italo, so much speed, hammering down the line, goes for the big rotation. He'll stick it, has more to give. Glides through a little setup carve here, just waiting to see if there's something else to bash on the inside. Finds it and clips the section.
Well, he leaves nothing on any of his waves. He will milk these things for all that they're worth, and gets that last little hit in, which is another little, you know, those little 5%ers, 0.5.
Strikes me as a kid who used to eat the apple and just gobble down the cord as well. The way he surfs his rides here, he just milks it. He takes everything that's on offer, no matter how small an increment of a point he's trying to add. He just goes right to the end.
Yeah, well, he's just a whole reel, isn't he? He's just milking every bit of energy out of the way. Have a look at the rotation. Nice and clean. Readjusts the feet and goes, hang on a minute, there's another little ledge down here. I'll just give it a little belt to finish that one off.
Yeah, just remarkable, his rise, not just in the lineup, but just his rise to world champion. It's been so fun to watch. He's always had that high energy, but his confidence is just soaring at the moment. He just has that mindset, it feels like, where he can go for just about any move he wants and believes that he's going to stick it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here we go. Yago
Let's see if Iago can keep his composure against the 2019 world champ. Looking for a big answer here. Love that release in the tail. Brings it through to the inside. Just gets a little bogged down on the landing there. But we're waiting on the numbers from that opening exchange. Italo's going to have an edge.
Yeah, Italo's definitely going to get the better of that exchange. That big front-side rotation to start things off. High-risk manoeuvre to go right into the first part of the wave, and then he finished off strong.
Well, Laura was picking up on it. Dimity, sorry, was picking up on it from out there in the lineup. The positioning of Medina at the peak here. Dimity said he's sitting so much deeper than the other competitors, and it's allowing him a bit more time to set up that first section. It's not quite where the others are paddling in. They're still a bit deeper than that, but he's coming around the section with so much speed and tapping into it. Italo has that same ability. Almost climbs up his board and just hops his way to that first section. And usually when he gets there, he delivers something pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's a different style of surfing. I just wanted to highlight just the way that those guys generate speed, whereas Gabrielle tends to get a bit lower and really lean on the rail and drive off the bottom of the board using the concaves and the fins. Whereas Italo, who tends to sort of skip off the bottom a little bit more, and he pumps for speed. Two different ways to achieve the same result, really.
Yeah, well, Italo's wearing a Red Bull jetpack as well, and that sort of helps to get him going. He is just so
and hyped.
He's just non-stop. High octane surfing, high energy out there in the competitors area. It's amazing that, you know, I think he's able to keep it all together when he's surfing in these later heats in a big day competition, because he's here from first light. Iago up again. He's not going to get much out of this, but out the back, Italo just goes skidding through that big frontside carve, comes through to the inside, super inverted. Not going to hang on to this one. You could see how turbulent the exit was on that manoeuvre. And not even the 2019 world champ could get clear of the white water.
Really like the opening carve on that wave, though, of Italo's. Just showing a bit more of that rail game. So quick. Just grinding through that turn.
6.17 was the score for Italo on his first ride. Iago had a 4.67 on his second. Well, let's have another look at that last wave for Italo.
Yeah, just drives hard through that first turn. And the second one here, you can see he just paused off the bottom for a moment, right off the lip, and then he kind of went, no, I'm not ready yet. And then he took his mark. Launched. Unfortunately, that, as you said, that sort of turbulent section with those big boils in between the reef there just swallowed him up.
Well, Italo's just worked so hard to get himself in the best possible condition to prevent injuries, because early on in his career suffered an ankle injury that saw him drop to number 22 on the ratings. What a return he made, though. Climbed to 4th in 2018 and broke through for a world title in 2019, and the showdown went right till the final heat of the year. Just one of the greatest races that we've seen.
Oh, it was amazing, and it's for everything to come down to that last moment of the tour year, a long tour year, and you know, the culmination of Pipeline there was a pretty exciting day for everyone.
Well, let's hear from the man that he overcame in that final event to claim the Pipe Masters and the world title. Two-time world champ Gabriel Medina continues his incredible form.
Gabriel, such professional decision-making there just to get the score on that wave. How much do you love competitive surfing?
Yeah, I do love competitive surfing. Yeah, that was all about strategy. I felt we're not going to have much waves, so many waves. So I tried to be selected, and yeah, it's so windy out there. The wind got stronger. It's hard to surf. But yeah, I'm happy with the win. Stoked to be in the semis. That was a good hit against corner again, and yeah, that was fun.
That decision to know that you're going to have a slow heat, is that instinct, or are you timing the sets up there with Andy?
I mean, yeah, I was talking to Andy. We've been watching the ocean, and yeah, like the heat before, they had a lot of waves, so that was a bad sign, you know. Yeah, we always have one like slow heat and then the others are okay, you know, we get to surf. But yeah, unlucky that was my heat. But yeah, I knew that could go slow. So yeah, I'm so good. My strategy worked.
Through to the semi-finals for the 4th time this season. Do you put that consistency down to anything in particular?
Yeah, I mean, being focused in every heat, you know. Every heat is a big one for me. Doesn't matter who I'm surfing with. And I'm just really focused, you know. Andy's a really nice guy I've been working with, and he's been giving me confidence, you know, to go there and be ready for anything. And yeah, I have my wife on the beach, so I feel safe. I feel good.
You certainly look safe. You're on fire. Best of luck for finals day.
Thank you, Stace. Gabriel Medina, just looking to be in a very happy place at the moment in that relationship with Andy King coaching him. It just seems to have sort of reinvigorated him. He hasn't lost anything, in saying that he has been in title contention for 6 consecutive years, but during that interview we had a big exchange on the outside. Italo starting to flare up, Rich.
Yeah, look at this layback hack to start things off, streaking down the line. We knew it was going to the air, and just a huge alley-oop in that final section. And this is Italo starting to entertain. He's getting busy. And Iago Dora, he's had a couple of falls. He needs to tidy this up, and he needs to do it quick sticks if he's going to have a chance to beat Italo Ferrari here. Because he's got the judge's eye. Iago dropping some huge numbers this morning. And he needs to bring that form into this exchange here.
Yeah, despite the fact Iago surfed so well this year, it's only fetched him a 5th place finish prior to this. That was down in Narrabeen. So he'd be desperate to break out of this quarterfinal heat, give himself a shot at a semi, potentially break through for his first championship tour win. And, you know, in the top half of the draw, we're going to see someone chasing their first victory on the CT. We're going to see someone in a CT final for the first time as Medina breaks things down with Andy and his wife there as well.
And you did so well to see that he started originally, speeding out of that punch out on the speed, but staying in front of it.
It was easy to get stuck. Yeah,
That did so well.
Thank you.
What?
I wasn't sure if you after you talked.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Solid performance from both competitors, keeping in mind that Connor Coffin went injured into that quarterfinal clash. A great Australian lead for him, cracking a final, just his 2nd championship tour final. He's going to be holding a position at the top end of the leaderboard, but Gabriel Medina is going to continue to set the pace in 2021, just looking so comfortable. And you know, he's been very lucky. He's had a couple of great coaching partnerships. Firstly with his stepfather Charlie. They were one of the best teams in the biz, and coming to Australia, you know, making the decision to bring his wife out here and seeking someone to work with. And Andy King was recommended by Mick Fanning, and it produced results almost instantly.
Yeah, they've got a great partnership there for sure, and you know, Medina feels like he's sort of matured and mellowed a bit as well on land. Certainly in the water, super aggressive still in his heats, but you know, they've got a really good partnership there, and we're chatting to Andy King as it looks like Iago's going to take off on this one.
Needs to turn this into big points because Italo's starting to creep away. Nice carve to get started. Gets up into the pocket again, bit more of a vertical approach, and now goes and swings that tail right around and grabs the rail for some control. A much better ride, start to finish for Iago. Great variation, should score pretty well.
Yeah, and that's the exact wave that he needed, right at the perfect moment to bounce back, get his confidence again, get to the completion of the wave. Did some good surfing on that one. He's powering back out to the takeoff zone. Let's check the replay. So a good looking wave from the takeoff here. And just a swooping carve to start things off. Love the extension out of that one. And that transition straight into that second turn. And then throws a bit of flair on those final two turns. That third in particular just slides the tail out. Trying to keep control in these bumpy sections. And a great carve there. That back arm just acting as a pendulum weight. Driving through the turn. Up through the lip, that's a better ride there. Good bounce back. And back to the point, Ron, that you were talking about with Andy King. We were chatting to him, and as a coach, you know, you're working on all the things with the surfers, the equipment, the mental game, technique, all these things are wrapped into a coach's role. But on game day, it's more like a golf caddy relationship where you're just ensuring the surfer, yep, your board choice is correct, yes, your position in the lineup is there. It's almost that reassurance, that positive reassurance, and that's what it is on game day. They're not trying to work on sort of different technique or anything. It's those little intricate decisions and more reassurance that the surfer just requires, getting them into that positive mind frame.
Most definitely. Just under 21 minutes remaining here, and Yago Dora drops a 7.07. He's chipped away at that requirement, and now only needs a 5.87 to get ahead of Italo. Let's quickly hear from Connor Coffin.
Quarterfinal finish here at Rottnest Island. We'll get into the performance in a minute, but Connor, just all of us want to know, how's the knee, mate? We all saw on your icing it earlier.
Yeah, it felt better surfing than it does walking up the beach, I'll tell you that much. It's pretty tender. I think I probably a little MCL tear, but yeah, Jason really helped me out and did some acupuncture, kind of loosened up. It kind of went up into my hip too, so he opened up my hips, and I paddled out. My first wave, I felt 100 times better than I thought I would, so I was super stoked and glad to be able to put on a performance against Gabby. Obviously wanted to get the win, but yeah, I was just stoked to be able to get surfing.
Good flaring.
Thanks. I know, I just needed, I'm not blaming the waves, but I kind of was making do, and I just wanted that one slower one that let me jam a couple. My first one was good. I felt like when I watch it back, I feel like I might have left a little meat on the bones, but the second section really laid down, so didn't do what I thought I was going to. But yeah, it was fun. It just went a little slow, but maybe it played into my favor. I just need to get lucky with one at the end.
Big Australian league. You looking forward to getting back to your home state?
Not really. Minus my family. I love you guys. And my friends. It's so good to be here. It's been so much fun. And I was planning on sticking around. This little knee blip might have put a little bit of a bump in the road there. We'll see. I was going to go to the Bells and then over to the Goldie. So kind of figure that out in the next couple days. But no, home always feels good. So that'll be a good place to end up eventually. Might max out that visa though.
Plenty of good physios on the Gold Coast. We can sort you out. You're welcome anytime. Well done this week.
Thank you. Thanks everyone who's watching, and thanks everyone for having us here.
He's a proud Californian, but he's one of those surfers who immerses himself in the experience of travel, culture, and he's had a fantastic stay here on Watch 'em Up, and his partner Sierra actually went up in the plane with Laura Enova, Courtney Conlog, a crew of them yesterday, and threw themselves out of a perfectly good plane at 15,000 feet, skydiving onto Rottnest. Looks like we've got a bit of weather moving in here, Rich. We've also got a big bounce back from Yago Dora, dropping a 7.07. Italo's got to watch himself here.
Yeah, he's made a heat of it, but here comes the counter punch from Italo.
The first goal for Italo, load up heaps of speed. Big section coming his way. And he is so close to sticking. A monster air, definitely the biggest that we would have seen at Strickland Bay so far. He had a few big ones in the free surfing sessions, but he was very planted on his board then. Just got blasted by that impacting turbulent whitewater bouncing back up at him.
Oh my goodness, that was absolutely gigantic. And if he had landed that, that would have been something pretty damn special. Let's have a look at the replay here. So he just had one thing on his mind here. Take to the air, gets the huge lofty air. He covered about 15 to 20 feet on that thing. And he gets the height as well. So there he's about 6 foot above the lip, traveling, and just comes down in that impact zone. And well, mate, the strength of that wave could launch a rocket, and Italo just unable to get control. You can see Jadson Andre, he knew that if he had made that one, that was going well north of 9 points.
Jadson rides all of Italo's waves with him. And sometimes it feels like he's more disappointed with the fall than maybe Italo is. But 17 minutes to go, still hanging on to the lead. But what about some of the images that we've seen of the big aerials from that camera angle? Absolutely loving those shots. Big props to our team who have been slogging it out through this Australian league, bringing these amazing images from the 4 events here. And yeah, that was close to being one of probably the biggest airs that we've seen in competition. And yeah, hopefully he keeps trying to stick it, because he was close, only millimetres away from riding out of that thing. I think sometimes if you're on the wrong side of that impacting white water, it's kind of hard to come down with it. You get caught in the vortex.
Yeah, in the little explosion there. We'll have a look from the water angle. Have a look at this, streaking down the line. It's a fair-sized wave. Hits that huge oncoming section, and you can see just went down the elevator shaft. There was no coming back. Just twitching off the bottom. Huge rotation. Got the full 360-degree rotation before he even looked like landing.
Remember the final at Bells 2012, the Kellycopter, Slater busting out that big full rotation air in the final against Mick for a 10-point ride. I mean, that is still an exceptional aerial, but we see those a lot now in competition. Basically at every stop we're kind of getting one.
That was one of the first airs that we really saw in competition out onto the flats, and since then the likes of Gabrielle and Philippe, and also Italo, of course, they've been adopting that one, and they've brought it right into their package.
Well, Yago's going to try and get in the mix here. Loads up the speed, takes to the sky. I thought for a moment he was going to ride out of that thing.
He jumped down the elevator shaft as well, just getting hammered by the trough. There's so much power at the end of these waves here.
Not sure if he got the grab on that occasion, but he was going for something different.
Paddling back out to the takeoff zone. Good to see a few more sets starting to come through in this heat. 14.5 minutes to go.
Good emu impression.
Yeah, great emu impression on the paddle back. Reminds me of old buddy Nathan Webster used to paddle a little like that as well.
14.5 minutes to go. And Yago just throwing everything at Italo here, but Italo, he only knows the one way, and that is to just load up as much speed as possible and throw something huge. But he's got to have an element of composure here too, because he hasn't yet sort of established a big enough lead to maybe keep attempting these big airs, but you know he's going to. Whoa. Another big effort on the projection, trying to get out in front of that wave. Unsuccessful again, so he's had a few shots at it now. I wonder if he'll go looking for a wave with a bit more of a tapered wall.
Chance here for Yago Dora just to pick wisely on the next one. Drop another 7, potentially an 8 or even higher. And that would really start to put a bit of pressure on Italo Ferreira. And he's used to being way out in front. And if Yago can sort of put him in a position where he's chasing a score, he might just have his number here.
Well, Laura Amber's down there just having a good look at the equipment and just wondering probably how the hell does it hold up to an event, Laura. He's just absolutely smashing these boards.
Yeah, no, well, this board's actually pretty good tact. He's got you know, it's waxed right up to the nose. Like, can you imagine his legs this far apart? Probably, yeah. But checking out the bottom of the board to see the dimensions, and he's just covered them with a big picture of his face so he can't see, but...
That board could be in like 8 different pieces and just being held together by stickers.
Totally. It probably is, but no, from what I've heard, it's a 5'10", Jimmy Patterson, and yeah, probably just held together by stickers. But no, it's been pretty epic vibes down here. Sorry, got the nose still. In the Red Bull Athlete Zone this afternoon, everyone's gathered in. It is raining, everyone's packed in just to watch this air show going on right now. It's really exciting last heat of the day. What a day it's been. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, amazing. And there has actually been, Laura's right, it is an air show out there at the moment. Both these guys have kind of shifted their focus to that one big individual turn. And I still feel like there's an opportunity for Iago here to go back to what has worked so well for him through the earlier rounds. But it might just be, Rich, that the waves are kind of forcing them into this approach. Is it sort of reeling off and shutting down a little quicker than it was earlier on?
I don't think so. I just think that these guys are perhaps just a little focused on getting to that air. Well, we saw Gabriel do it just minutes ago. He was getting to the completion. He was getting work done before he took to the air.
Well, let's see if Italo changes his approach here. The way he's loading up, it doesn't feel like it. He's going to drive up into it. Whips a little reverse, can't hold on to it. And he'll still be leading. But Iago Dora's only after a 5.87. Just over 11 minutes to go, and Iago with a good-looking wave standing up at the moment, drops to the bottom. He's going to attack this first section. Nice hit off the top. Couple of tricky ramps to deal with, and he's going to go down. But it was a nice first turn, just couldn't stick the end section. If he did, he would have got the number that he needed. 11 minutes to go, he's still after a 5.87. I think in the past we've seen Italo, he over-ants and he gets flustered, and as a result, you know, it seems like he can't think straight at times. But somehow he's managed to harness that energy and make it work for him. We see him out in the water catching a million waves and just over-amping. When he comes in, he's almost hyperventilating. He almost can't breathe, but he's getting the heat wins and he's winning events, so he should stick with it. It's so fun to watch. He's just getting more and more confident, and, you know, such a celebrated champion because he has so much fun and he's so energetic. We do love watching Italo surf at the moment. Remarkably, Iago Dora's ridden more waves than Italo. He's at 9 and currently sits in second place. Italo has been just a little more patient. 7 rides for him. But this is a great battle. These guys both very focused on going for those big individual aerials to turn in huge numbers and get the jump on one another here. Let's have a look at the final 5 on the race to the ripcurl WSL finals in September. Medina so far out in front. Italo not too far behind. And they want to stay alive in the mix here and get the opportunity to perhaps stall Medina's progress in the semi-finals, because the winner of this heat will surf against the 2-time world champion. But this has been a good clash. We've seen Italo going all out, trying to stomp some big frontside full rotation air reverses. Iago, as always, getting a little more technical, attempting the stale fish grab earlier on, unsuccessful, but if he did get that completion, I think the judges would pick up on it. But he's well within reach at the moment. He needs a 5.87. And I think Italo's gone out there trying to really just outshine Iago and and put up big scores, but he hasn't actually kind of built the kind of lead that is going to put him into the semis just yet. It's not a guarantee.
No, not with 7 minutes to go. And Iago Dora has found some form in this event, and he's been looking good in this heat so far. Does have the highest number. These guys, they've really been going for it and falling a lot in this one. So you'd have to think that if a couple of those airs have been stuck, then the score lines would be much healthier. And really, Italo Ferreira with pocket sixes has to put this out of reach. Have a look at the replay, twitching down the line and just gets the crazy rotation through the lip there. Carving back, gets a little bonus section here on the ledge. Bang, slams it shut.
These guys, Rich, it's like they're chasing a video section out here at the moment, just loading up, attacking each ramp that comes their way. They've come so close to sticking some monster airs, but no one's really put a huge score on the board just yet. Iago's got the best of them, a 7.07.
Yeah, Iago just sticking the face a little bit more. Beautiful carve. Wrapping cutback, tight snap, and then bang here. Just gets the fins free. A nice slide, and then regains control to finish that wave off. I like the variety on that one.
Well, this will be the last heat of the day. We've got the Corona post show just around the corner with Joe Tapel, yourself, Rich, and Bugs stepping back in for the Harvey Norman set to break down everything that's unfolded here today. There's been some big results, some young guns powering through to the semi-finals of the men's event. Morgan Sidlick will take on the wild card, Liam O'Brien.
Wow, here we go.
Iago Dora gets his opportunity here after a 5.87 out of this ride. Good section to work with here, drives up into it, swings the reverse, creeps forward on his board for a moment, but gets back on the tail pad quickly to squeeze in one last turn.
5.87. I don't know.
Not vibing it?
No, I just don't get that feeling like it really clicked. He did some nice turns. It was one of those sort of smaller insides where he took off kind of on the shoulder. Let's have a look at the replay here, break it on down. So, nice rapid snap to start things off. And gets the little blowtail reverse. Comes down this little section here. So just the two-turn combination. The water angle. Nice carve. Gets so low, taller guy. Around the 6 foot, maybe even 6'1". But his board's right from slightly longer than some of the other competitors on tour, up around the 6 foot mark, 6'1". And it looks nice, having that little bit of length out in front of his, underneath him.
Well, someone on the championship tour, well, there's just a couple of surfers left in the mix chasing a second CT victory this season. There's still 3 surfers alive in the draw who are after their first CT win and their first CT final. Iago at 4.9 on that last ride, still after a 5.87. But that's going to be a massive point of difference on the leaderboard, Rich, when one of these competitors locks in a second CT victory. That'll be a guaranteed place in the final 5, you'd think.
Yeah, and as we get deeper into the tour schedule, those final 5 positions are going to start getting locked up. It's going to get harder and harder to nab one of those final positions. And then, of course, the back half of the rating, they're really starting to think about requalification and how can I earn my spot back on tour, and I'm running out of opportunities.
Well, that's going to make that final event on the schedule over in Tahiti so interesting when there's only that 1 or 2 or maybe 3 spots left in the final 5. But the way Medina and Italo are travelling at the moment, they're starting to really collect those big finishes. They're super consistent. They're avoiding those early round losses, so they're going to have throwaways up their sleeve when we get to the back end of the schedule. And that's going to all but secure their place in that final 5, but they're not there just yet.
No, not quite. If I can pre-order just a 8 to 10 foot swell for Chopu, that'd be quite nice to watch the showdown happen.
Coming right up,
as people fight for those final positions.
2 minutes and 25 seconds, and Iago's still chasing that 5.87. And this is a critical time in the heat for Italo as well, Rich, because he's got that priority. He's got to be careful. He'll understand that Yago can be dangerous with an individual turn on the inside section. But it feels like he'll need to convert his last ride into points. Here goes Yago. Gets this one under priority and just arrives to that ramp a little late. Can't get the release in the tail.
No, that was opportunity gone there for Yago Dora. It wasn't a very good-looking wave anyway. He was going to have to do something pretty spectacular if he wanted to get that 5.87. He needs to put the engine on here.
And both of these guys were just a couple of metres shy of riding out of what would have been 9-point rides, 10-point rides potentially in this heat. It really did turn into an air show. Yago's had so many waves. But just the best he's been able to manage is a 4.9 and a 7.07. The 7's the highest number of the heat. And that means that he's still got a shot here with 1 minute and 20 seconds to go.
Looks like they're both paddling out for something, so a set could be approaching here, and if it's a two-wave set, we might see this come right down to the wire, and that's what Yago's going to do. He's going to have to sell him on this one first and hope that there's a second, but Italo might extend his lead.
Drives off the bottom into the first section, lands on the rail, nice card to get started, and then explodes through the roof, setting the fins free for a moment. A tricky end section on this ride. He drops over that step. And he pumps his fist in celebration, but with 40 seconds to go, there may still be an opportunity for Yago Dora on the outside.
Smart surfing from Italo Ferreira there. Didn't over-push it, just surfed the wave to its potential there. Trying to extend his lead, replace that 6.17. 3 really nice turns. And I can see it going up into that 7-point range.
Yago making a move on the outside here. Running out of time, 15 seconds remaining. This is a medium-sized wave. This might be his last shot at it. This one's not going to stand up on the outside section. And the clock is going to wind down here. And you can see the 25-year-old slapping the water, frustrated not to get the opportunity, because he has been in fantastic form on his run through to this quarterfinal finish. But Italo, he got the work done early on. Even though he wasn't able to max out that heat score total, he didn't have to get the win.
Yeah, and you can see Yago Dora, he's filthy on himself here, just frustrated that there was a couple of waves there where he could have converted him. That man there, done it again. So that sets up a pretty exciting semi-final.
Well, he is buzzing, and for good reason. We're going to see the current world number 1 and 2 fight it out in the semis for a rottnest search presented by Corona. Don't forget, we've got the post show just around the corner with Joe, Rich and Bugs breaking down everything that unfolded today, and it was a big one. We've established both the semis now in the men's and women's event, and there are some fantastic matchups to look forward to, but all that will be discussed in the Corona post show. It's just around the corner.
I think it's gonna be a long, long time. Another man. Oh no, no, no. I'm Rocket Man. Rocket Man, burning up the fuse up here alone. It's gonna be a long, long time. Last time bring me another man. Oh no, no, no. I'm a Rocket Man. Rocket Man, burning up the fuse up here alone.
welcome to the Corona Post Show. A big day here on Rottnest Island for the Rip Curl Search.